Ethan Miller wasn't the kind of man who believed in blind dates. A 34-year-old architect, he liked plans, blueprints, schedules, predictable outcomes. But when his sister insisted he meet someone special, he reluctantly agreed. The restaurant was modest, dim lights, a faint hum of jazz, and the smell of roasted garlic in the air. He checked his watch again, wondering if this was a mistake. Then she walked in. Lena. Simple dress, tired eyes, yet a smile so warm it disarmed him. "You must be Ethan," she said softly, her hands still smelling faintly of dish soap. He noticed her apron tucked awkwardly into her purse. She'd come straight from work. The first few minutes were awkward. Ethan asked polite questions, Lena answered shyly. But soon, they were laughing, about bad bosses, late rent, and the chaos of city life. She spoke about dreams she'd put on hold to care for her younger brother. Ethan, for the first time in years, found himself listening, really listening. Then, as the waiter brought dessert, something slipped from Lena's bag, a worn, brown file folder. Papers scattered across the floor. Ethan bent down to help, and froze. The first page bore his company's logo. And under it, Project Complaint, Structural Negligence, filed by Lena Hayes. Their eyes met. The air thickened with shock and confusion. What was she doing with that file? For a long, silent moment, neither of them spoke. The laughter that once filled their corner of the restaurant had vanished, replaced by a heavy unease. Ethan stared at the file in his hand, his heartbeat loud in his ears. "Lena, why do you have this?" he asked quietly. Her lips trembled. "I didn't mean for you to see it, not like this." She reached for the papers, but Ethan held them just out of reach, his tone tightening. "You filed a complaint against my firm?" Lena sighed, eyes glistening. "Not against you. Against what happened." Ethan frowned. "What happened?" She hesitated, then spoke, her voice breaking with emotion. "My father used to work at the construction site for your firm's downtown project. There was an accident, a collapse. He was injured so badly he never recovered. He died 6 months later. They said it was a freak incident, but someone has to take responsibility. I'm not after money, I just want the truth." Ethan's chest tightened. He remembered that project, the rushed deadlines, the cost cuts, the corners trimmed to please investors. But he hadn't known the human cost. "I'm so sorry, Lena," he whispered. Tears welled in her eyes. "You didn't know. I can see that now. But I had to try. My brother deserves answers." Ethan slowly placed the file back on the table. Maybe I can help you find them." She looked up, startled. "You do that?" He nodded, sincerity shining through the guilt in his eyes. "It's the least I can do." For the first time that night, their connection wasn't about romance, it was about justice, and perhaps, redemption. The next morning, Ethan sat at his office desk, Lena's words echoing in his mind. He had barely slept. The folder she dropped had reopened a wound he didn't know existed, a moral one. His firm, Wexler & Gray, prided itself on building dreams, but Ethan now wondered at what cost. When his assistant brought him coffee, he didn't even notice. His mind was deep in the digital archives of the downtown project. Blueprints. Reports. Safety logs. He sifted through everything until he found it, an inspection report, dated just 2 weeks before the collapse. Red flags, ignored signatures, a final note marked urgent, unresolved structural issue. His throat went dry. The name at the bottom was his boss, Daniel Wexler. Ethan leaned back, staring at the ceiling. He'd trusted that man for a decade. The company had built his career. But now, he saw it differently, built on silence, not integrity. That evening, he met Lena again, this time at a small park near her apartment. She looked uncertain but hopeful. "Did you find anything?" she asked. Ethan handed her a printed copy of the report. They knew. They ignored the warning. "Your father's accident wasn't a mistake, it was negligence." Lena's eyes filled with tears. She clutched the paper, trembling. I don't know what to say." "Don't thank me," Ethan said softly. "We're not done yet." He glanced toward the city skyline, the firm's name glowing proudly from one of the towers. "If we go public with this, it'll destroy my career." Lena looked at him, her voice steady. "And if we don't, it destroys what's left of my faith in justice." He nodded slowly. The choice was clear, painful, but clear. Ethan had always believed in doing things the right way. But now, the right way could cost him everything. 2 days later, he stood outside Daniel Wexler's office, heart pounding. The city skyline shimmered behind the glass walls, a view reserved for those at the top. Ethan entered, clutching the inspection report like a weapon. Daniel looked up from his desk. "Ethan, you look tense. What's going on?" Ethan placed the report in front of him. "You signed this. You knew about the structural issue before the collapse." A long silence followed. Then Daniel leaned back, his voice calm but cold. "You've been digging where you shouldn't. That file was sealed. You're risking your position, your future, for what? Some waitress's sob story?" The word stung, but Ethan didn't flinch. "Her father died, Daniel. You let it happen." Daniel sighed. "You think exposing this will make things better? It'll ruin the company, cost hundreds of jobs, including yours. You're a smart man, Ethan. Don't throw it all away." Ethan's jaw tightened. Sometimes the foundation has to break before you rebuild right. He turned and walked out, leaving the report on the desk. His hands trembled, but his conscience felt strangely lighter. That night, he met Lena again, telling her everything. "He threatened me. But I'm not backing down," he said. Lena looked at him with a mix of gratitude and fear. "You could lose everything." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then maybe I'll finally find what really matters." As they stood under the fading city lights, something unspoken passed between them, not romance, but respect born of shared courage. Tomorrow, the storm would begin. But tonight, for the first time, they felt free. The next morning, headlines blazed across every major news outlet. Whistleblower architect exposes safety scandal at Wexler and Gray. Ethan hadn't slept. After sending the documents anonymously to the press, there was no turning back. His phone buzzed non-stop, calls from colleagues, reporters, even lawyers. By noon, he was officially suspended, escorted out of the building he once helped design. But for the first time, he didn't feel defeated. Later that day, Lena found him sitting on a park bench, the same place where they first shared the truth. Her eyes were red but bright. "They're reopening my father's case," she said softly. "Because of you." Ethan exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. "It's what he deserved. What you deserved." She sat beside him, quiet for a moment. "You lost your job because of me," she whispered. He smiled gently. "No. I lost a title. But I found my purpose." A week later, as the company faced public outrage and legal scrutiny, Ethan received an email from a new architectural firm. They admired his integrity and wanted him on board to lead their ethics and safety department. He showed the message to Lena, laughing. "Looks like honesty still pays, just not immediately." Lena's eyes shimmered. "Thank you, Ethan. You gave my family peace." He looked at her with warmth that went beyond sympathy. "And you reminded me that kindness can build stronger foundations than steel ever could." As the sun dipped behind the skyline, the chaos of the world seemed distant. Two people, once strangers on a blind date, had changed each other's lives forever. And somewhere between justice and forgiveness, they found something even rarer, hope.